Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hello, everybody. I'm Craig Valine. Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever, YouTube Live. I'm with my friend, Mark Imperial, who is a former certified independent business advisor for the Chicago area. Was that Southwest or Northwest?
Southwest.
Southwest, a dubious distinction. And also he's an expert at positioning yourself as an authority. So today's topic is going to be how to build trust and credibility by positioning yourself as an authority in your field. Mark, talk a little bit about why this is important, especially in this day and age.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Craig. It's awesome to be here. Hey, the secret's hidden in plain sight. Businesses are run with authority. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a shortcut. Especially today, people don't have time. They don't have attention to spread out. So if you're business and you want to get attention from the marketplace, how are you going to grab that attention? You have to be seen as the go-to expert or the authority in your field. That's a shortcut. It gives people something to grasp onto and say, he's known for this. That's the expert in this. I should listen to this person. Otherwise, what's the other option? Being invisible among a crowd of competition.
Yeah. There are so many people doing what they do out there, and they show up, for instance, I used to go to a lot of chamber events, and there'd be 5 financial advisors. Why should I pick any one of them? And there was always one that I could figure out who it was. And that was the one who was known around town as the guy, so he automatically had authority. There is a very cool tool to use to establish yourself as an authority. And let's talk more about that.
Absolutely. My favorite tool, if that's what you're talking about, and that's a book, using a book as a tool to grow authority. The way I sort of explain this whenever I speak, I usually take out my keys and I say, hey, imagine that this is like the master key to any building you ever wanted to get into, right? Well, what if this was your book? And this book is like the master key to get you in any door that you want.
Yeah. So you're the author of this book right here, right? This is Action Brand Marketing.
Yep.
I want to promote you for a second. Talk a little bit about what that book is and why you wrote it.
Absolutely. So this is Action Brand Marketing. It really came from my decades of in the trench work. Because actually, before I met Dan Kennedy and before I was learning direct response marketing, I was in the traditional marketing and traditional advertising and branding world. I did experiential events for some of the world's most loved brands, including Nintendo, Under Armour, M&M Mars Candy, just to name a few. Wow. So I learned what the big brands were doing to grow their businesses, and I saw what could work and what absolutely wouldn't work for the little guy. And then when I met Dan Kennedy and learned direct response marketing, I saw this absolutely works for the little guy. This is a cash flowing type of marketing, this direct response business. And what I've learned through both disciplines is I learned how to marry it into one, because obviously the big brands are big for a reason. So there are principles they use that really explode and accelerate acceptance, is the language we use when you use brand. But how do you fuel brand? You use direct response marketing, because a brand isn't built without sales. So that's what motivated me to write the book, is because this was a book I wish that I needed to read like decades ago, before I was trying to figure all this stuff out on my own.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of people don't consider when when they have this conversation about authority is the first 6 letters of the word authority are author.
Yep.
Yeah. So having a book, and just we have a few more questions to go through, obviously, but talk about the difference between a physical book and an ebook. What has more authority?
I love that question, and I believe in having both. People today always kind of default to what's the easiest and what's the cheapest, and obviously pushing pixels is practically free, so everyone wants to go with the digital thing. But in terms of marketing, think deeper into that, and what will people remember? Do you remember everything you've downloaded or offered through the years? If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But a physical book, I have clients that come to me today after having received my book years ago, and it was sitting on their desk. I'll hear that a lot. It's been sitting on my desk. I finally got around to reading it. But hey, at least you got around to reading it.
Right.
Another thing is the pass along factor. How do you lend out your Kindle to somebody that should read it? So I believe in having the Kindle available, but you must have the physical book, because how are you going to do a book signing on a Kindle too? You got to have that physical book. It makes so much more of an impact. And I know we'll talk about shock and awe boxes. We talk about that a lot, but that's why you need the physical tool.
Yeah. They say that a physical book, mine looks ugly. Mine's an ugly book. The Ultimate No BS Guide to Entrepreneurial Success. And by the way, I'll share a story about how I wrote this. It comes down to, I told my mastermind group that I was going to write a book. And every month they would say, "How's the book coming, Craig?" And I'm like, "It'll be done next month." And then next month would come around and it wasn't done. And it'll be done next month. And then one day I took one of my mastermind members out for lunch. He says, "How's the book coming?" And I said, "It's coming along." He goes, "Oh, don't worry, Craig. We don't expect you to get it done." And I went, "What?" And I got it done in 4 days.
There's the challenge.
Yeah. So if it, one of the hard problems, and I don't know if that's one of our questions today, but we'll kind of deviate a little bit, is if it looks like a book, it's a book, right? So I used a lot of my marketing assets that I already had, the knowledge that I had already used, articles, stuff like that. But I also incorporated licensed articles that I had through Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer. So guess who's also a co-author in this book?
Kaboom kabap, Dan and
Yeah,
Bill.
and it comes up every time that someone types in Dan Kennedy. My book comes up as people who bought this book also bought this book. So
smart.
Very cool.
I like the book. I like that you picked a really bright color. It's utilitarian, but boy, the words are bold. And that's the number one thing is the headline, the title of the book that gets them to read it.
Well, one other fun thing in there, and it's kind of cool, is it's on this side of the book, there are quotes, and those are notes from my years of being a student at Dan Kennedy. I use this as a lead magnet to get people to the chapter meetings and for clients and stuff like that. But I've used it based on the dual readership path. If I didn't have the quotes on the left-hand side, it would have been about 100 pages. But I made it into a 200-page book by just adding quotes on the left side that don't necessarily have anything to do with what's on the right side. But I find that people read these quotes and go, "God, this guy's a genius. I love that." But they're just my notes from seminars with yellow padded paper and all that stuff. And that has gotten me more business than I can even tell you.
Hey, you're like a DJ. You're DJing other brilliant quotes that people should know. So you're going to be a famous
What
DJ.
do you do with pads and notepads that you go to seminars for 20 years? And it's like, share it with the world, right? It's my interpretation and my sharing of quotes. Let's talk about how having a book instantly elevates your credibility in your field.
Sure, absolutely. Well, think about it. What's the other option? Are you doing one-on-one phone calls with people to have conversations? A book is really just leveraged conversations. Now you're able to start unlimited numbers of conversations just by getting your book out. So it elevates that credibility, because if you were to talk to people one-on-one, I'm assuming that you're going to wow them with your expertise, your knowledge, your passion. They can hear it in your voice. It's hard to scale that one-on-one. So having a book instantly elevates that credibility because it puts your passion in a perfect vehicle. And there's no better vehicle for a message than a book. And think about this. Humans are already conditioned. It's inherent. We respect authors. So being the author of a book, you're automatically catapulted in status as subject matter expert. And the book is a genuine demonstration of your knowledge and abilities. It should demonstrate what you stand for, what you stand against, and who you want to serve.
Amen. Amen. By the way, your picture is frozen a little bit. Back on stage.
I'm back.
There you go. There you go. All right. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So so many people do not have books. So the guy who has the book automatically becomes the authority, wouldn't you say?
Well, here's a good example of that. I tell folks that if they're, a lot of people think, where should I spend my money in marketing and advertising? Well, they want to spend it to get on the front page of Google. Let's say it's SEO or, well, that's soon changing, or pay-per-click or whatever. But what happens is when people search your category, not only do you might show up, but so do all of your competitors. And essentially, what is it? Call me, call me, call me, or call me?
Right.
Who's the person that's going to say free book titled, claim your free book solving your problem, titled the solution to a problem somebody's searching for? That's the person who's going to be top choice among all those folks. So yeah, have a book because nobody else does. And everybody else is counting on unscalable, unleveraged activity like one-on-one appointments.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by booksgrowbusiness.com, the place where busy professionals and business owners get their books published to educate consumers, lead their fields, and leave a legacy. For a complimentary signature book discovery session, visit booksgrowbusiness.com. That's booksgrowbusiness.com. Now, back to the show.
Right. Excellent. So let's talk about this. How can you use your book to attract high quality leads and clients?
Yeah, lots of different ways. Some of my favorites. Using a book as a lead magnet. How many times have you seen anything that you advertise? Rather than advertising your service, you should advertise a solution, which is typically knowledge. So you're not, and by the way, your program or whatever it is that you sell or offer or service that you offer, it becomes part of the solution, but you're offering the knowledge and the education. Because I have a saying, I always say people don't look for advertising, they look for answers. So I say you use your book as answers to people's problems and always offer that. So lead with that and build your list of prospects that way. Much more attractive.
Yeah, I get those. I don't know if you get them in Illinois, but we get those home remodel magazines, that's full of vendors selling remodeling. And every single one of them is discounting services. Every single one of them. It's like it's as if they have nothing else to offer, right?
It's like a go-to. It's a race to the bottom.
So I'm like, why don't you offer a book that says 7 things you need to know before you hire a window remodeler or before you remodel your kitchen or whatever? And so I keep them stacked. I can't find I moved them so they wouldn't be on camera, but they're somewhere in the house. But I stacked them, and I swear to God, they all say the same thing. A book that answers the questions like, what do we really need to know before we hire a remodeler or before we remodel our kitchen or before we redo our landscape or anything, would instantly stand out, number one, as an ad that does not look like every other ad in that catalog. But it would be helpful. It would be answering questions like, hey, if you've never done this before, here's what you need to know, right? Or something to that effect. And I keep them for potential clients, right? Some people that I can go out to, at least they're advertising, right? But there's so many of them that advertise that way. And if you just answered the questions or answer the question that's most occurring in the prospect's mind, right? That's who said that? I forget.
Robert Collier.
Robert Collier, thank you. Just brain fart right there. If you enter the conversation currently occurring in the prospect's mind, you win, you grab if you can do it right off the bat, right?
You know, I have a buddy of mine that wants to escape his Dilbert cube or his full-time job, which is he's an installer for high-end home theater, AV sound equipment, even for facilities like churches and that. And I told him, hey, here's your easy 1, 2, 3 plan. You go to home shows. We're going to help you author a book called Home Theater Secrets or something like that. You see? And now instead of you being in competition with ABC install and ZYX install, you're just going to say, you know, get your free book, Home Theater Secrets, and I'll sign it. It's literally all you need to do in exchange for that list. That now you've built yourself a list or a community, which I'd prefer to call it. And you just keep in touch with that community and say, hey, would you like my help? Did you get to read the book? You have any questions about the book? Like, it's the nucleus. It drives your business. And that's like the only thing you really need to do if you really want the biggest impact today and you don't have a book. How about that?
Right. Good stuff. Let's move on to our next topic. How to leverage your book to gain media and speaking opportunities. That sounds exciting.
I'm in the middle of doing this right now. So one of my plans, and anybody can do this, it works like a charm. You take your book along with a very simple cover letter, which we provide for our clients, and you're able to send this to anyone that has an existing community. If you're a local business, that could be your chamber of commerce. It could be your Rotary. It could be a trade association. Whatever it is, that pool of people that you serve, you get your book into their hands and they see that you're a subject matter expert and that their membership could really use the knowledge that you have in your book. Now, when you do that, you simply offer in the letter, hey, I just launched my book and I want to get the word out. So it's a very harmless, want to promote my book and get the word out about my book. So it's not you selling anything or pitching, it's you offering education. That's one way to really gain speaking opportunities at associations and events. You can do the absolute same thing. When I was in the DJ industry, I wrote the ultimate wedding reception, and I sent it to all of my local media, which like Daily Herald sent photographers over to my office and interviewed me for articles because I said, hey, the book's the ultimate wedding reception. And we sent this in January. So we always said, hey, the holidays, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. People are going to be getting engaged. You guys are going to be talking about spring weddings. So basically my cover letter with my book said, if you ever need a subject matter expert to talk about successful weddings, here's my book. That got me on the top of the pile, and it like works like a charm.
That's awesome. That was a writer down and right there. Let's talk about advanced strategies for maximizing the impact of your book.
Sure, absolutely. I think number one, what I want to tell people, because this gets lost in translation somewhere, but your entire job when you're growing your business should be around it shouldn't be, first let me start with, it shouldn't be about how am I going to sell as many services that I have to offer as possible. Sure, you want to do that, but you want it to be a byproduct of delivering the most value you can. So I like to flip that around, and I like to say your number one job as a business owner is to build a community around what it is that you serve. So in my business, it's around, helping people author their signature book, for example. And for that, I need to build a community of business owners, and they have more interests than just books. And I'm able to serve them with my knowledge of branding and direct response marketing. And in fact, that's why I wrote This is Action Brand Marketing. Right. There's only one chapter about books in here because it's that important. It's the nucleus of a brand. However, this is the book that can serve the broader community. So I will build a community around the book, and I'll do that in every which way possible. And in my case, it's going to start with a speaking tour. So it's essentially a book tour. And when I'm going to be doing a city by city tour to get the word out. That's like one strategy. And your book ends up being, another big one is like repurposing, because your book ends up being your playbook. If you've really outlined your book well, it's the playbook of everything that you do. And I'm not saying you teach everything, because you don't want to fire hose, brain dump everything on people. That's the first thing to scare them off and confuse them and paralyze them. You don't want to do that. But each of the topics that you do cover becomes the playbook for everything else that you do. So for a whole year, you've got content upon content for any of your social media posts, any of your ads, speaking engagements, opportunities, seasonal opportunities. There's the book is basically the nucleus of all of your marketing, and it absolutely drives your whole business.
Awesome. You've frozen up again.
I'm back. Hey,
there you go.
We always manage to at least disconnect once.
If it didn't happen, it wouldn't be fun. Come on.
It only does it on StreamYard for whatever reason.
That's crazy.
That's me, crazy. Anyway.
Well, listen, we're running out of time. Show your book again so that people can see that. And if they wanted that book, where could they get it?
Sure. You can go to booksgrowbusiness.com, booksgrowbusiness.com, and actionbrandmarketing.com.
Excellent. And if they wanted to reach out to you, they have questions about books or about becoming an authority, how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, on the website, you'll be able to reach me on there as well.
Okay, cool.
I have a bonus tip before you go too, real quick.
All right, go ahead. Bonus tip from Mark Imperial.
A quick bonus tip, because people overlook all this, but referrals. I know a lot of people are going to say, how do I increase referrals? Because that's the second easiest sale to make, is a referral. Books absolutely fuel your referrals. And you just made me think of that, because I'm about to ship a box of books to a referral partner of mine that I included in the book. So in this particular book, Perry Marshall honored me by giving the foreword in this book. So I ship him boxes of my books, and you can do that. If you author your book, who are your referral partners? You can honor them by including them, just a guest chapter, perhaps. I mean, Perry provided a guest chapter on, traffic in This is Action Brand Marketing. So that's just another referral tactic. And not to mention, this is a tool that you can arm all of your clients, your past and present clients with, that'll deliver your message bulletproof way. They won't miss a beat, because they'll be able to hand out your book. So you'll be arming, we learned this from Dan. Yeah. Arm your clients with the tools in which to refer you. So that's another thing that the book does.
Yeah. So, since we're here, let's just tap. We may have to do this close again, but one of the best strategies I've ever heard was from Dan and Matt Zagula. And Matt Zagula is a financial advisor to financial and helps other financial advisors, establish themselves as authorities in their trust and authority, trust-based marketing, right?
Yeah.
So one of the tactics that he uses is a very cool script, and basically with every cool ideal client that he's across the table from, at the end of his meeting with them, he'll say, if I could hit the repeat button every time and get a client like you, I would do it every single time. I don't know if you know it, but we don't really advertise our services to anyone. We rely on referrals from people like you to build our business, just like you were referred to me. I don't know if the conversation would ever come up at the golf course, at the school, isolate a place, right? But if that conversation should ever come up about financial responsibility, retirement, planning for your kids' education, would you tell them that this is my guy, hand them this book and say, this is my guy, this is the guy we trust to handle our financial future, and then give them a copy of the book, so powerful strategy.
Love it.
It's just, and it can come across so sincere. I mean, it's a script, but you come across so sincere, and just make it part of your strategic approach to getting more referrals, right? That is one of two powerful referrals, scripts that I use, and I teach every day. But wow. Awesome. Well, this is a short but very powerful conversation. Establish yourself as an authority to build credibility, trust, leadership in your community, in your industry, in your field, amongst your target market. Thank you, Mark, for being here. And I want to thank anybody who's watching today or listening today. We have a free gift pack for fans of the show. at mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. It's a gift pack. Mark has his link in there, and several other past guests have their links in there. But again, a free gift pack for fans of the show at Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. And then we record this live on YouTube every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. But the podcast is available on Thursdays on your favorite podcast network. But you can watch us. You can watch us and like our other episodes. This is episode 35. 35.
Wow.
That means 35 weeks
Time
have gone
flies.
by. 35 weeks have gone by. So
Well,
you
you're
can
having
follow
fun.
us. Yeah. It was fun when we were doing a big group. We had 9 of us on. So Mark, thanks again for being here today. Despite all the technical difficulties, what a great show and what great information. So
my pleasure, Craig. Thanks for having me. Always excited to be here.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us this week on The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.